Someone shared this video clip showing how the party's rhetoric about taking care of the elderly and serving the people ironically contradicts with the reality that especially elderly people are facing. Someone replied, during those years when China's economy can be seen as relatively good, the real life that ordinary Chinese people were living still contradicted it. For example, based on my personal experience, one time I visited a factory in northern China. The roadside can be seen through the windows from the place that I lived. One morning, I opened the curtain and wanted to see the scenery of northern China, but what I first saw was an elderly man bending over and digging around in a trash can. That elderly man looked like a zombie. I really mean it, because they looked very similar. I thought that may be a scene that can only be seen in hell. I was truly stunned. Comparing this with my experience in Japan, even if you share what I said with a Japanese, he would not believe it, let alone having personal experience of seeing it. Someone shared this video clip showing a Chinese professor in Shanghai, Bao Pengshan, talking about the 9/11 incident in the US. He shared Chinese people's reactions. It is clear that was a result of the CCP's brainwashing education or hate education campaign against America.
这个世贸大楼倒塌，大概是死了3、4千人吧。这真是一个人类历史的大悲剧。但是这件事情发生的那天晚上，在上海的很多大学里面，大学的那个草坪上，有无数的大学生在草坪上点上蜡烛，不是悼念啊，是庆祝，是欢呼。全世界都沉浸在悲痛和震惊之中，只有2拨人在庆祝，一拨人就是恐怖分子，一拨人就是我们中国，还有4个中国的记者正好在美国，世界广场的大屏幕正在现场直播啊，那个非常悲惨的场景，大楼轰然倒塌，然后整个广场上所有的人，美国人、其他国家的人、欧洲人，都在那地方震惊痛哭。我们中国这4个记者在那个地方这样，当场被美国的警察摁倒在地，然后驱逐出境，他们永远不会再进入美国了。
Someone replied, the 9/11 event successfully moved America's attention away from fighting communism. That's why many communist leaders around the world were all celebrating. Someone shared, 2020 is a year of silence and pain. We did not kneel down. Many Hong Kongers, both those that I know and don't, helped me witness the courage and dignity of humanity. 2019 and 2020 have fundamentally changed the meaning of Hong Kong to me, myself, as well as many other Hong Kongers. In this new year, I wish that we can continue upholding our faith, take care of and help each other, and strive to continue the fight for ourselves, our family members, our friends, and for Hong Kong. Someone replied with this picture, which says that sometimes it is not that we decide to persevere upon seeing hope, but it's the other way around, which is we have to persevere, and perhaps only then will we be able to see light at the end of the tunnel. Someone shared that recently Jamie Lai's bail was removed and he was ordered back to jail until at least February. The Hong Kong Basic Law has essentially become a true historical document that is no longer effective legally. Beijing's promise of allowing Hong Kong to retain its capitalist economic system and currency, legal system, legislative system, and the same human rights and freedoms as a special administrative region of China for 50 years has failed. Then why did the European Union decide that the Chinese Communist Party is a trustworthy partner to collaborate with trade-wise? Why does it rush to sign an investment agreement with the CCP at this critical time of a global pandemic? Someone shared that according to a BBC report, commentators believe
that this investment agreement between the EU and Beijing has strategically enhanced the development level of economic cooperation between the two parties, which has international political significance. Someone replied, the Chinese people should never forget how the Angela Merkel administration paid disregard to human rights in its relationship with Beijing. Unfortunately, this is still happening today. Someone replied, perhaps the European Union plays a critical role in global reset or a new world order as pushed by the radical left. Among the EU states, especially Germany, who has turned increasingly to the left, as well as Denmark, it's unclear if they have really come to realize once the CCP dominates the world, freedom of speech will no longer exist, let alone these countries' sovereignty. Someone shared this video clip, which is part of an interview that Joshua Phillip, a senior investigative reporter at the Epoch Times, recently did regarding the agenda behind the socialist and communist ideologies.
Here, when people talk about socialism, that socialism and communism have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, so a lot of people would say that current politics, current, say, cultural movements have nothing to do with communism. How do you see communism manifesting in the world right now?
The end of the Communist Manifesto. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains, right? By the way, they also call for, quote, communism abolishes the present state of things, said Marx and Engels, right? Could you imagine that? But imagine one of my students turning in a paper, right? In this paper, I will argue for the abolition of the present state of things, right? Oh, is that all, right? But Marx and Engels write this. They, the communists, openly declare that their ends can be attained only by, are you ready, the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. The communists declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Now, for people who say, communism is really a pretty good idea if you just read the book, really, right? And they don't. Marx and Engels aren't even careful or nuanced enough to say, you know, the things in society that are bad ought to be changed. In some cases, forcibly overthrown. They're calling for the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Is there anything more radical than?
Child, we will take you in. Child, we will bring you home. You'll be a flower that sees the spring. Soon a dove flying high.